No, David's not here. He unfortunately has had to go home for personal reasons. So, after tomorrow we always have a reasonable break. So it just worked out quite well from that perspective. But I don't think even if he'd flown in, whether it would have been wise to select him for tomorrow in any case. Yeah, I think as a team we probably feel that we didn't necessarily win that game, and I'm sure Rajasthan feel they lost it, and I think that's probably a fair way of putting it. It wasn't an easy wicket to score on. We would have certainly wanted to score another 15, 20, 25 runs even to make sure we put pressure on them. I think having not lost wickets, perhaps if Rajasthan look back on the game and assess the performance, and I think the captain Rahul did say that they should have maybe tried to finish the game earlier. That probably was the one area where we were able to exploit it in the end, because when you get to the situation where you're needing, it came down to one particular delivery that went for 4. If Ajinkya hadn't hit that for 4, they'd have needed 40 in the last 4, and that's always going to be tough. No, it was a 4. That he went from 40 to 36. They needed 9 in the last 4 overs, so 9 runs and over in the last 4 overs, and then it went down to that last over where they needed 12. So it was always going to be a situation where if we had one good over or 4 or 5 good deliveries even, they would be under pressure. So I think probably in hindsight, if they had the chance over, they'd have tried to finish the game earlier. Obviously Morne bowled an exceptional over, and that was what turned the game on its head. And then even Umesh bowled a very, very good over, and barring that 6, which was an incredible shot by Ajinkya, that was a marvellous finish to the game, particularly I suppose you're sitting in our dugout. It's difficult when you've won. What have we done? Seven now. It's such a tough to be consistently winning in T20 format because games swing on 1 or 2 or 3 overs. So it's difficult to really criticise any particular area. Our batting's done really well at times. Our bowling's done exceptionally well at times. I just suppose yesterday we certainly would have wanted to have scored 20 more runs, 25 more runs, and it doesn't take a lot to do that. It's just 1 run extra and over. So I think it's more about making sure that we have wickets in hand when we reach that critical part of the game, which is the last sort of 5 or 6 overs. Well, I don't think we are certain to be there yet. Obviously, we've got a good chance. I think you're looking at 8 to 9 wins, so we certainly get 1 or 2 more wins under the belt to be considering that we are definitely through. Probably the most balanced side is Chennai. I mean, they've got a very balanced side. They haven't performed to their potential, but sometimes in a competition like this, going through a tough process of qualifying makes a team that much stronger. And they certainly would be tough opposition at any stage of the game. Calcutta are starting to play better and better cricket. They're also, and the game is about momentum. It's how you finish strong. So that's, from that perspective, they're at the top side as well. And I mean, at the start, I said Mumbai and Chennai were the 2 toughest sides, and certainly they are. Bangalore, they're another tough side. So there's no easy games. Every team has their match winners, and in 20 overs, if one of those match winners puts in a particularly impressive performance with a bat or ball, they can win the game. We played against Deccan, and Kevin Peterson basically won the game by himself. No, I think Viru played an exceptional knock. He's done it a few times last season as well under pressure. It was one of the things about Viru that's amazing is how on wickets that everyone else appears to be struggling, he's able to play strokes and dominate attacks the way he does. So certainly from our perspective, the way that he scored those runs and the pace that he scored those runs still allowed us to get to a decent total at the end of our innings. So certainly from that perspective, Virender set up that game for us. I think this season the seamers have probably done more than they have in the past. I think that the spinners have played a bigger role as the tournament continues now, and wickets start getting drier. But up to now, we've seen a lot of last year, a lot more spin bowlers when the leading wicket takers. Some of the spinners have battled this year because I think creators have tended to leave more grass on wickets to give more runs, but also to be able to prepare them for longer periods of time. So I think the seamers have played their part in this particular competition throughout. But I think spinners are becoming more and more into it as it continues. I think it'll be dependent a lot on the team themselves. Like for example, Watson has come here. It's going to be a massive difference to Rahul's team, to Rajasthan, because of his experience, because he's a dual player. He's almost like getting two players. He's a batsman and he's a bowler, and he's also happens to catch the ball particularly well. So you're getting two for the price of one. So he'll play a bigger role maybe than Clark might as a pure batsman at Pune. But the thing with international cricketers, like we've seen with people like Kevin Pietersen, like with Mahela, like with Ross Taylor, like with Morne, Roelof and Mabbe, they contribute off the field as well, and that's what makes a big difference. So for the young Rajasthan players to have someone like Watson aside will make a big difference, just because of his experience and what he brings to the confidence he carries himself with, the information that he brings to the field. So they play a bigger role than just the batting and the bowling. But each one of them will bring something to the side, no doubt. They're very enthusiastic, and they've come off a good win in the West Indies, so I'm sure that they're in a good mental state, but they have to adapt quite quickly, because they're hitting the tournament in the middle of the tournament, and it's already taking shape, and some teams are under pressure. It's obviously, I really do find the IPL an incredibly dynamic place to work. I find it exciting from a cricketing perspective. As a coach, you're learning all the time. The game's evolving so quickly. This season's different to last season. The second half of the tournament will be different to the first half of the tournament. So, you always need to be one step ahead of the game and the opposition. You always need to be strategizing in some way. So, I do enjoy this particular format of the game a lot. But obviously, it was a great privilege to be involved with Team India through the just over 2 years that I was, and it had different challenges. But I must say, I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment. Well, I actually said that at the start of my very first press conference, that I thought bowlers would come back into this tournament. I think it's happened for two reasons. I think that on the one hand, I think that the bowlers have learned, they're a lot calmer now. They've got used to the fact that you're going to go for 18 overs sometimes, whereas in the past maybe put pressure on it. And I do think that, as I said, curators have given wickets there's a little bit more grass on, because they need to have good contests. They need the wickets to last for the 7 weeks that the tournament is meant to last. So last time we saw it in Mumbai, a wicket that was giving the seamers a lot of help, and we've seen that along the way. So certainly the bowlers, I think, have come. We've seen a few low scores, but I think even with low scores, the T20 format is still very exciting, because we saw both games last night. It's one of the things we talk about actually quite a lot. We talk about process and outcome. So if you run up and bowl the perfect Yorker and he gets an inside edge for 4, beating the fine leg that's up, you can only do your job, and that's often what happens in a situation where even sometimes with the media or the public, that the reaction is to the result. And sometimes we'll play a very good game and lose, and other times, like last night, we didn't deserve to win maybe, but we win. So we will have to look at what's happened last night and not get carried away with the outcome. And let's look at our process and say, did we do our process as well? And the same thing applies to a bowler. If a bowler gets the ball in the area that we've chosen to bowl in our strategy, and he gets punished, the batsman have also got a job to do. Sometimes you need to praise the batsman. I think that's one of the things that our sport doesn't do enough, is to recognize that when someone's doing badly, by definition, someone's doing very well. And I think that's what often happens. So we very much judge what the bowler did and what control he has over it. And if it hasn't worked out well, if he's done his job well, we can't ask much more than that. I think that that's one of the major benefits to cricket in India, is to have the fast development of players like Shahbaz in that situation, just in working with and having those players around him. One of the things that I do as a coach, I've always said, as a coach, I coach a person, not a cricketer. And when I met Shahbaz a few years ago as a cricketer, you could see in his eyes his confidence and his self-belief. And when you see that, you know you've got something special. And I'm not surprised the way that he's evolved through the season. And I think it's going to, as the wickets help him even more, it's going to become more and more evident. But you can name 15 young Indian cricketers that have evolved and developed over the last 5 years of IPL because of their involvement with international cricketers that are around him. So it's been a tremendous assistance to them, just in terms of the speed of their growth as cricketers. And then if I told you put in the paper tomorrow that I can't bowl it. No, I obviously worked with Jinx in the Indian side as well, and I threw to him quite a bit in the net. So I do know the way he bats and where his strengths and his weaknesses are. I think what's been tremendous to see is how he's grown as a player, and it hasn't just been a once-off. He's got runs consistently. He's the top of the pile in terms of the number of runs he's scored. So his confidence is great. Working with Rahul Dravid's obviously been tremendous for him. and has helped his development. But with any player, we sit down and we analyse. So we analysed them 2-3 days ago in our bowlers meeting, and tomorrow morning we'll look at what we did and plan accordingly. But yes, we have got ideas and we have got thoughts. But like I said, sometimes you put the best plans in place, and he's counted it, because batsmen tend to know what you're going to try and do as well. I think a score of around 160, 170 175 is a great game. But we got 200 the other day, and quite honestly, if Mumbai hadn't lost 3 wickets up front, we would have battled to defend it. But I'm still not sure that you want them that many runs. Then it's just carnage for the poor bowlers. But I reckon a score around 170 generally says you've had a good track, bowlers have had a chance, and batsmen have had to bat well, and then you'll have a good chase. I think he's got a good technique. There's no doubt about that. I think he's got a good mind on his head. At the end of the day, when you get into the middle of a cricket match in front of 40,000 people, what's tested more than your technique is your character. And I think what's come through for him in the past 9 games, whatever Rajasthan has played now, has been his character. As I said, to play under pressure in those situations speaks a lot about who he is as a person. And built on that is his ability to play cricket, because he hasn't tried to be somebody else. He stayed himself and still managed to score runs at a reasonable rate. He got a magnificent 50 in Manchester for India when we played England, and at that stage we realised that he was something special, and it's tremendous to see him come out the way he has in this tournament.